evening, everybody. Hello. Welcome to 2025. It is January and it is a new year, and I am back after a little Christmas break. I haven't streamed in a couple of weeks, and I thought I would come back on and start the new year by looking into the past a little bit. And we are today going to be talking about UK politicians and what has been said about Scientology in the past using Westminster's Hansard archive. And let's have a little look about what we've got to look forward to this year in 2025. But first, let's say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello, Leanie, SP Crusader. Happy New Year. Selena's in the house. Hello from Wales. We've got Mark, the Dorset SP. Evening, Alex. Happy New Year. 420 Audits Island. Happy New Year, Alex and chat. Thank you. Hello. Happy New Year. Anna Reese is here. Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome. I hope everyone had a good festive break. I have been taking a couple of weeks off to focus on my actual life. I've been working a lot. I've been spending time with family and doing all the normal festive Christmas stuff that you could think of. Bok Buddy's here. Happy New Year, Alex. Golden Astro Cat. Happy New Year. We've got Helen Woods here, caught alive at last. Hi, Alex. Hello, Helen. Lupita T. Happy 2025. Rachel Standing. Happy New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you guys too. I think one thing that's really important, especially in the world of activism against Scientology abuse, is looking at what's happened in the past. There is nothing new about protesting Scientology. This has been a movement that's been ongoing since Scientology set up shop here in the UK in the 1950s. Since it has existed, there has been a movement against it. And so there's nothing new about what's going on. I'm not the first person to speak against Scientology abuse here in the UK. I won't be the last. And it's all about looking at what we can do to progress the movement and move it forward and do what we can to shine a light on the abuses that are going on in the world of Scientology in a modern day today, because some things never change, such as Scientology policy and the way they go about abusing their members. So it's important to look at what's happened in the past to help educate you on how to do things effectively in the future. And I spend a lot of time researching here in the UK, different archives, different documents in government registries and that sort of thing, doing a lot of investigative work, not just to teach myself about what's going on, but also to teach myself about what's happened in the past and why certain things have done well, why they've succeeded, and why things haven't succeeded. And one thing I'm focusing on at the moment, particularly, is trying to engage politicians in the UK to take on the issue of abuse in Scientology. Now, Scientology purchased St. Hill Manor in 1959, which it was the worldwide headquarters of Scientology for several years, until L. Ron Hubbard left the country after the government were following him and trying to kick him out, basically, for overstaying his visa and not being a positive influence on the local community. So that's when he went on the ship and started the Sea Organization and so on. That's a whole other story for another day. But what I'm trying to do is engage politicians and get them to understand that the abuse that has been going on in Scientology and that is going on to this day has been happening for decades, and nobody has stepped in to stop it. And that is why it's important politicians use their parliamentary privilege, which means you can say something in Parliament without threat of being sued for libel or defamation, and use that parliamentary privilege to bring these very important issues into the public space. And so that's something I'm going to be working on a lot this year. And I thought, let's start by looking at what has been said in the past. So back in November, I spent several hours looking through Parliament's Hansard archive. Hansard is the official record of everything that's ever been said in Parliament in the UK, both in the House of Commons and in the House of Lords. It is a searchable online archive, and I went through thousands of pages of documents to locate any references or debates about Scientology, and I wanted to make sure that they don't get forgotten. Yes, they will always be there in the archive, but I think a lot of people wouldn't spend the time that I've spent searching for all this sort of stuff. And so I thought, let's put it into one central place where it's easy to find. So I've published a piece on my blog, Scientologybusiness.com, which has all of the quotes, or the ones that I deem important about Scientology. It's not every single quote that is in the archive, because there are hundreds and a lot of them are repeated quotes. For example, one politician would say something, and then another politician would reference it in a later debate, but not really add anything to it. They just said, oh, this person said this, and I agree. So I haven't included all of those little ones because, you know, there's no point. I've just included the big main ones that I think are important or of note. So I've put them into this page, which is linked in the description. And I thought we'd just read through them. So this is UK Politicians on Scientology, quotes from the Hansard archive. Let's read through this. Politicians have frequently raised concerns about Scientology's activities in the UK since its founder, L. Ron Hubbard, first established the Dianetics Foundation of Great Britain in 1952. From 1957 to 59, Hubbard lived at Fitzroy House in London before acquiring St. Hill Manor in East Grinstead in 1959, which served as Scientology's worldwide headquarters until 1966. Although census data indicates the number of Scientologists in the UK is declining, St. Hill continues to act as a major operational base and fundraising arm for the group, with thousands of parishioners flocking to the property every year to attend the International Association of Scientologists IES Anniversary Gala. In light of Scientology's recent move to ban protesters by requesting Mid Sussex District Council implement a public spaces protection order, we thought it would be fitting to publish a list of excerpts from the UK's political archives that demonstrate the public interest and widespread concern about the organisation's activities. So here is the selection. What would be quite inexcusable would be to allow great harm to come to some who are mentally ill, who would not have attended the organisation had they been aware of its real nature. The Anderson Commission reported the unsavoury and indeed disgraceful methods by which people were induced to embark on a course of Scientology. How once they had embarked, it was impossible to break away, and the resulting financial consequences and damaged health, how harmful hypnotic procedures were used, and a great score of personal information filed away, which would do great damage if it were ever released, how family discords were provoked, how inquiry agents were set on the trail of those who opposed Scientology, including even the member of the Victoria Legislative Council who raised the subject in that assembly. There is good reason to suppose that these harmful practices are being carried on in this country. It is therefore necessary for me to state the facts of the case. Ms. Henslow, my constituent, and I do so with the express permission of her mother, for she recognises that the harm that Scientology can do to others far outweighs the pain she is forced to endure by recital of the facts. That was from Peter Horden, who was the MP for Horsham, on the 6th of March, 1967. And I've got all of the quote references here if you want to go and find the actual quotes themselves in the archive yourself. Several honourable members have expressed anxiety over the possible damage done by Scientology to the mental health of its clients and over what they see as a harmful influence in an even wider context. The East Grinstead Urban District Council have conveyed to me the terms of a resolution passed last December expressing grave concern at the effects the activities Scientology may be having upon the town and its people. What they do, however, is to direct themselves deliberately towards the weak, the unbalanced, the immature, the rootless, and the mentally or emotionally unstable. To promote them remolded, mature personalities, and to set about fulfilling the promise by means of untrained staff, ignorantly practicing quasi-psychological techniques, including hypnosis. It is true that the Scientologists claim not to accept as clients people known to be mentally sick, but the evidence strongly suggests that they do. That was Kenneth Robinson, who was the Minister for Health, 6th March 1967. Sir Geoffrey Johnson Smith, MP for Wealdon, said again on the same day, 6th of March 1967, many open-minded people in the town of East Grinstead, whose judgment on matters of this kind one can trust, are seriously disturbed by the activities and objectives of this organisation known as Scientology. I received information which would indicate from the case, which we heard from my honourable friend, the member for Horsham, Mr. Horden, is not an isolated example. Information which would add substance to the arguments which have been put forward. In the past, those who have dared to question its activities have been subjected to a campaign of vilification. Baroness Blatch on the 17th of December 1996. I know that serious allegations have been made, and it is right that people should be warned of the potential dangers of becoming involved in organisations of that kind. If someone comes to me as a minister or to anyone else and makes allegations, and we simply refer the matter to a member of the Church of Scientology or any other cult, it is unlikely that they will say, yes, of course we harass people and extort money from them, or whatever it is. Their natural reaction will simply be denial. I can say that sometimes it is fear that prevents people from doing that, and sometimes it is sheer distress, not only on the part of the individual, but on the part of the individual's family. I think what's important to note here is here we have politicians acknowledging Scientology's practice of fair game, of disconnecting families, and its policy of going after people who speak out against it. Politicians here, Baroness Blatch specifically, has said, look, there is abuse going on in this organization, and sometimes people don't actually speak out against it because they are concerned about the potential consequences of doing so, and therefore it falls on us as politicians to do something about it. And this was 1996 that this debate was held. Let's carry on. Where are we? Here we go. Lord Denning in 1987, 12th of May. They exercise the most pernicious influence on our society, especially on family life, separating children from parents and making huge profits and fortunes for their founders. In these circumstances, is it not high time that there should be legislation to curb their activities? For example, by a licensing system under which they could be struck off if guilty of practices harmful to the state. I'm just looking at some of your comments and starring them to bring them up later. Lord Boston of Faversham, 8th of August, 1980. During the course of the libel action brought by the Church of Scientology against the Honourable Member Mr. Geoffrey Johnson Smith, in which my noble and learned friend Lord Elwyn Jones led so successfully for the defence, the jury's decision clearly supported the conclusion of the then Minister of Health that Scientology was socially harmful and that its methods could be a serious danger to the health of those who submitted to it. Lord Gainford, 8th of August 1980. First of all, there is what is known as love bombing, and then they are treated to deprivation of sleep and inadequate diet. Geoffrey Johnson Smith, once again, he was MP for Wealdon when he said this on the 2nd of December 1968. Is the right honourable gentleman aware that there are a number of citizens, some of them councillors in East Grinstead, who can be inhibited from making what I regard as perfectly fair and proper comment in pursuit of their public duties because of the inaction of the government? Or, if not because of that, at least because under prevailing conditions, they feel as a result of libel writs issued on them that they must pursue a policy of silence. Now, one thing I did a lot in 2024 was trying to highlight the pressure Scientology puts on the local council in East Grinstead. There's East Grinstead Town Council, then there's Mid Sussex District Council, and above that, there's West Sussex County Council. East Grinstead Town Council is the local council, and I uncovered last year that their mayor went to a number of Scientology events, and I called this out. There was a big article in the Daily Mail, double-page spread, and there was widespread concern in East Grinstead about the influence Scientology was having over local government. And what we have here is a quote from Parliament dating back to 1968, raising exactly the same concerns that Scientology is using threats of legal action and its bullying tactics in nature to try and manipulate local politicians and make them feel pressured to act in a certain way, behave in a certain way, or not say certain things on the public record. And here we have Jeffrey Johnson Smith raising concerns that Scientology's influence is actually stifling freedom of speech and the democratic process. It's making councillors feel uncomfortable in doing their civic duty. So there's nothing new about what I've been doing this year and last year. But it's something that's been going on for a long time. And that's why it's so important we continue to raise awareness about this, because if it's been going on this long, why has nothing been done about it? 420 Audits Island says, wow, 60 years of politicians talking but doing nothing. Exactly. Let's carry on. Deputy Prime Minister William Whitelaw, on 16th of July 1980, this policy, which applies to Scientology alone, was announced in 1968 by the then Minister of Health, who stated that Scientology was socially harmful and that its methods could be a serious danger to the health of those who submitted to them. Now, that is just a selection of quotes from Hansard. There are dozens more, which I haven't included in here. And I encourage you to go and have a look at them yourselves. If you go onto the Hansard archive, you can just search Scientology and it'll pull up every debate, every speech, every note that has been made about Scientology by politicians in the UK. It's a really easy thing to do. And I encourage anybody who wants to protest Scientology in the UK to do that, because here we have clear evidence that politicians, the government, ministers, and even the deputy prime minister at the time, aware of Scientology's practices, the harmful nature with which they conduct themselves, and the harm that they do to the people who are involved in Scientology. And yet, nothing has been done. We are in a situation where, yes, Scientology was rejected charity status by the Charity Commission in 1999. However, over the last 25 years, we have seen Scientology further deepen its connections in the local town and increase its awareness in terms of their buildings being declared places of public worship and increasing their foothold on British society. When there are 60 years, if not more, of evidence that politicians are concerned about this organization, why are they allowed to continue operating in the way that they do? It's Scientology policy to not change what policy says. You can't change what L. Ron Hubbard wrote. So if L. Ron Hubbard wrote to treat someone in a certain way, to fair game them, to go after them if they speak out, to disconnect families, then that's what has to be done. It's against the rules in Scientology to change that or do something in a different way. You have to do what L. Ron Hubbard said. And what we have here is politicians raising concerns about their actions years ago. Their actions haven't changed. It's exactly the same today in 2025. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because I think it's really important going forward, especially in my meetings that I'm having with politicians, to brief them and make them aware that politicians have raised concerns over a long period of time and nothing has been done. And that's why it's important that we do something about it now, because too much time has gone on where Scientology has been allowed to continue abusing its members and acting in a way that the government have already said that they don't accept. All right, let's have a little look at some of these questions. Love it, says Alex. I'm so proud of you. The work you do is exhausting. You rule. Thank you so much. And yes, I took some time off over Christmas. It is really important to focus on your own mental health, to have breaks from the internet and breaks from YouTube. And it's been really, really nice to not focus on Scientology for the last couple of weeks and just have some time off. But now I'm back. It's a new year. And look, I just knocked my microphone. Sorry if that burst your eardrums. Look, I'm going to be honest. 2025 is not going to be an easy year. 2024 was huge. I did achieve a lot in 2024. Charlie Hebdo, the very famous publication in France, labeled me a Scientology slayer after attending the Paris Ideologue opening to protest there. We had a double page spread in the Daily Mail, which was all about the exploitation of East Grinstead Town Council by Scientology. There was a huge Narconon expose in The Guardian, The Observer, that came out, the multiple pieces about Narconon. There were a number of other really big things that happened in 2024. We had the IES protest and Scientology moving to ban protests outside their St. Hill headquarters. And I had numerous meetings with politicians, with change makers, with lawmakers and decision makers. And it's only going to carry on. I'm not stopping anytime soon. But there are a lot of things that are kind of up in the air at the moment that are already going to be presenting challenges for the anti-Scientology or the ex-Scientology movement here in the UK. We are currently awaiting the outcome of the Public Spaces Protection Order, which is due in the next few months. Mid Sussex District Council are reviewing whether to ban protesting outside St. Hill. And if the PSPO does get put in place and we are banned from protesting, the next step in that kind of course of action is to take it to the High Court, and there will be a High Court case trying to protect the rights of protesters who are trying to stop the abuse inside Scientology. Obviously, I hope that it doesn't get that far, but there's every possibility that it will. Scientology have been coming after me non-stop over the last couple of months with over 3,000 tweets and messages on Twitter directed at me. They're currently doing, instead of the 12 days of Christmas, it's the 12 days of bigot, posting a picture of my face every day on their Stand League account. They've knocked on my neighbors' doors. They've gone through my rubbish. They've had private investigators sat outside my house every day. They have been non-stop trying to hack into my website and try and interfere with my everyday life. This is the sort of thing that Scientology do to silence its critics and its former members. I'm not going to let it stop me, but it's something that you have to be aware of that is going on. And that just drives me to fight even harder for our freedom of speech and why it's important people speak out about the abuses inside Scientology. So 2025 is not going to be easy because these things have already started happening, but they're not going to stop. Scientology are going to put more effort and more money and more, they're going to put more effort into trying to silence me and those who stand with me in protest, for example, at the IES event. They've already gone after Austin Waite, who I interviewed on my channel previously, a teacher here in the UK who just joined the protest for a couple of days. And Scientology found out where he worked and went after him and tried to get him sacked. And all he did was stand outside with a sign next to me for a couple of days at the protest last year. Resources. Thank you, Anna. That's the word I was looking for. So they've been ramping up their fair game, and it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And I'm very aware of that. So 2025 is going to be a big year of change. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I'm working on that's going to be coming out, but I'm also aware that that's going to come with a lot of backlash. So I'm a bit hesitant to be too excited about this year, but I'm hoping it's a year that we start to see real change happen. Lupita T. Wow, it seems as if they were aware of the abuses, physical, emotional, and psychological. Yeah, they absolutely were. Politicians debated the abuses of Scientology decades ago. Lovett says, sounds like there have been voices in the wilderness about Church of Scientology all along. Bet COS fair gamed them. Yeah, absolutely. Scientology, fair game. They come after anybody and everybody who try to speak about what's going on inside their organization. Rachel Harris, I'm just back from snowboarding in Morzine in the Alps, and somehow it feels even colder here in the UK. Well, I am so very jealous, Rachel. I haven't been snowboarding in a couple of years. I miss it very, very much. Snowboarding is one of my all-time favorite things to do, and I'm very jealous. And welcome back. And yes, indeed, it is very cold here in the UK. I've got the heating on. That's why I'm wearing a big jumper. I've got a little space heater down underneath my desk, keep my feet warm. Lovett says, it makes me so sad how Scientology brainwashing keeps its members from asking, if we are to change the world, we must go out into the world. Hurts my heart. Yeah, 100%. Lupita, question, do you believe they have been playing the long game? 100%. Scientology always play the long game. They always have been, and they always will do. If you look at, for example, 1999 rejected charity status, it wasn't until 2013, right? So 14 years later, that Scientology went to court, took the case to the Supreme Court, and tried to get their buildings listed as places of worship in order to carry out weddings at London Org. I was on staff when this happened. They succeeded. The definition of religion was changed in British law as a result of that ruling. Their buildings were, or a single building, a single room, sorry, in the building, the chapel, was designated a place of worship so they could engage in religious wedding ceremonies. After that, they then engaged in another lawsuit, 2014, which went on until 2024, January of last year, which was all about whether or not they are designated places of public worship, which gives them some minor tax incentives or exemptions. And that was a 10-year legal battle. So that was all spurred on as a result of the 1999 charity ruling. So it's something that they play the long game on for sure, and that's their strategy. SP Crusader Lini, what do you think about this, along with safe pointing policy and fair game policy, into a printable leaflet specifically for politicians so that we can post or email to our local politicians? Absolutely fantastic idea, 100%. Feel free to share any articles on Scientology business with anybody you want to, and create flyers, create leaflets, any sort of thing like that you think would be helpful. Go for it. I'm trying to encourage anyone who's watching my channel and helping me in my protesting and helping me in my mission to be an activist, to do what they can to contact politicians, to contact their local MP, to contact councillors and say, hey, I'm a local resident and I'm concerned about Scientology. And as my elected representative, this is what I want you to do about it. I think everybody should contact as many people as they can and try and get as many people supporting us as possible. Scientology up north. Hey, Miriam. Alex, welcome to protest Scientology in Copenhagen this March. I will send you a mail with more details. That would be amazing. I would love to join you. March 13th, L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. That would be so much fun. 100%. Selena is here. Why haven't they tried to get me sacked yet? I've been waiting. Well, I'm sure they are working behind the scenes to do what they can. I can assure you, Austin is not the only person who was a part of our protest group that Scientology have gone after. They are doing everything they possibly can to try and silence us, including trying to get us banned. Anyway, love it. Shows you're doing something right, Alex. We stand with you. Thank you so much. And I know that I'm not alone in my activism. The fact that my videos get thousands of views and there are people watching these live streams and commenting and emailing me and supporting me through Buy Me a Coffee. All these things really go a long way to make me feel like I'm here with thousands of people behind me. I'm not the only one protesting Scientology. You guys are all here. Even if you can't be there in person, you're standing there with us in spirit. Comment and try not to cry on local politicians like I did. Very snotty and not great. Well, look, obviously it's a very emotional thing for those who were in Scientology, and showing that emotion is a good thing sometimes for politicians to really see the impact this organization is having on people locally. So I wouldn't try and hold back, when speaking to politicians. Be honest and say, this is what's happened to me. This is how it affects me. And this is why I want you to do something about it. Sage M, question, as someone who supports trauma survivors, what can I do better? What can I do to better my clients who leave high demand religion? Well, I think that that's such a big question. I am by no means a mental health expert. I'm not a trauma expert. I'm not even an expert in Scientology. I'm only an expert in my own experiences, what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've learned from other people. So it's a really hard one to answer that, Sage, but I would just encourage you to read up on as much as you can about Scientology and the methods that they use and all of this. When I first started seeing a therapist who knew nothing about Scientology, the biggest challenge for me was it was really hard to talk about Scientology to that person, because I had to then explain every little thing about how it works, what the terms mean, what an auditing session is like. And so I was spending a lot more of my time in a therapy session explaining what things were and what they meant than I was actually talking about the issue itself. And then when I first started seeing a therapist who knew about Scientology, it was a huge game changer, because no longer did I have to explain anything. They already understood. If I said I had to go and do an OW write-up, the therapist knew what that meant, and then we could talk about it, rather than me having to spend time explaining what an OW write-up is. So the more educated you can be, the better. And that doesn't just go for therapists and trauma survivors. That goes for anybody, and anybody in this space. If you want to be an activist, educate yourself. It's so, so important. Right, let's carry on. Sage M again, standing your ground and fighting for what is right is essential. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. And look, for those of you who want to support the channel, Buy Me a Coffee is a great way of doing that. You can go to the link in the description down below. Activism is not free. It is something that I spend a lot of time doing, and a lot of money goes into it. And no, I don't make a profit from this. So anybody who does want to support the channel for things like hosting on Scientologybusiness.com, that was supplied by a very kind supporter. Thank you so much to Osa, who did that. Not the real Osa. It was an account called Scientology Osa who paid for hosting for a year for my website. StreamYard, for example, I'm currently using the free version, as you can tell by the little logo in the corner. But look, any financial support that goes into this channel goes straight back into the activism and would be greatly appreciated. So if you want to support the channel, you could buy me a coffee using the link down below. And thank you very much in advance. Andy Two Arms is here. Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late to this one. Playing catch up as always. No problem, buddy. Happy New Year. I hope you had a good one. I'll drop you a text after this. It would be good to catch up. Witnesses here. Happy New Year, Alex. Keep on doing the amazing work you do. People hear you. No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mark the Dorset SP is here. Lucky here we have a supportive MP who's also been fair gamed. Yes. And Mark, I need to text you about that, because I've heard back from him recently, and I'm going to go meet him again soon. So I'll bring you along for that. If you want to come, that'd be cool. But as I said, there's a lot to focus on and look forward to in 2025, but also aware that there's a lot that they're going to throw back at us. So be prepared for a wild ride. 2025 is going to be fun, I'm sure, but it's also going to be challenging. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you to everybody who has supported the channel. Thank you to everybody who wants to support the channel and will do in the future. And let's see what 2025 has got in store for us. I will see you guys on the next one.